February 28th, 2026, 1:15 in the morning. No announcement, no press conference, no warning. From a single airbase in Missouri, 4 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers lifted off in complete darkness and began flying east over the Atlantic Ocean, over Europe, over the Mediterranean Sea, straight toward Iran. A journey of more than 7,000 miles one way. A mission lasting nearly 37 hours from takeoff to landing. And when those bombers arrived, they targeted some of Iran's most hardened and deeply buried ballistic missile facilities. Here is what makes that remarkable. At that same moment, the United States already had the largest concentration of military air power in the Middle East since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. F-35 fighter aircraft, F-22 Raptor fighters, aircraft carrier strike groups, guided missile destroyers, dozens of fifth-generation combat aircraft positioned only minutes from Iranian airspace. And yet, the United States still launched a $2 billion bomber from Missouri. That single decision reveals something important about the type of target Iran had built and the type of aircraft required to reach it. Operation Epic Fury was not a routine strike mission. It was the answer to a question that had shaped Iran's military strategy for decades. Can a country build its facilities deep enough underground that they become unreachable from the air? On February 28, 2026, that assumption was tested. To understand why the B-2 Spirit was chosen for this mission, it helps to understand what these aircraft were sent to destroy. For decades, Iran invested enormous resources into building underground military infrastructure, designed specifically to survive aerial attacks. These were not simple storage bunkers or reinforced buildings. They were full military complexes constructed beneath mountains, buried under hundreds of feet of solid rock, reinforced with layers of concrete and steel, tunnels wide enough for military vehicles, storage areas designed to protect strategic arsenals, and facilities deep enough to support entire ballistic missile production and maintenance operations. The specific targets of this operation were Iran's hardened ballistic missile facilities, the locations where Iran stored, maintained, and prepared missile systems that represent one of the most direct conventional threats to United States forces, United States naval assets, and American allies across the region. These facilities were designed with a single objective: to be unreachable. Iran's ballistic missile arsenal is not a minor capability. It is a strategic tool of military pressure. A large-scale missile launch from Iran could overwhelm regional air defense systems, threaten United States bases in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, and place much of the Persian Gulf within range. For United States planners, disabling the production, storage, and preparation infrastructure behind that missile capability became a central objective of this operation. But there was a technical problem. Most aircraft simply cannot reach targets like these. A standard F-35 fighter aircraft, one of the most advanced combat aircraft ever built, cannot physically carry the class of munitions required to penetrate deeply hardened underground complexes. Its internal weapons bay was never designed for payloads of that size. Long-range cruise missiles are extremely accurate, but they do not carry the mass required to break through thick layers of reinforced rock and concrete. Unmanned aerial systems are not capable of delivering the necessary payload. Even a large bomber such as the B-52 Stratofortress can carry extremely heavy munitions, but the B-52 is not a stealth aircraft. Against a modern integrated air defense network, including systems supplied by Russia, it would likely be detected soon after entering the region. What this mission required was a rare combination of capabilities: mass, precision, stealth, and intercontinental range. There is only one operational aircraft in the world designed to deliver all four at the same time: the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. But this operation did not emerge suddenly. It was the result of months of escalating tension, and understanding that escalation helps explain why the events of February 28, 2026 unfolded the way they did. To see where the story begins, it helps to go back several months earlier, June 21, 2025. On that date, the United States carried out another long-range strike mission known as Operation Midnight Hammer. 7 B-2 Spirit bombers departed Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and crossed the Atlantic Ocean in near-complete radio silence. Along the way, they conducted multiple aerial refueling operations over the Mediterranean before approaching Iranian airspace. The aircraft were never detected. During the mission, the bombers released 14 massive ordnance penetrator munitions, each weighing roughly 30,000 pounds, targeting Iran's Fordo and Natanz nuclear facilities. According to United States military officials, the mission unfolded exactly as planned. Iranian fighter aircraft never launched. Iranian surface-to-air missile systems never engaged the strike package. The bombers entered Iranian airspace, delivered their munitions within a narrow operational window of roughly 25 minutes, and exited the region before Iranian defenses fully understood what had happened. Satellite imagery released afterward showed large impact craters along the ridge above the Fordo underground complex. Several tunnel entrances collapsed, and the facilities sustained significant structural damage. The strike set back key elements of Iran's nuclear infrastructure by several years. But here is the critical part. Iran did not stop. After Operation Midnight Hammer, Iran's military leadership made a strategic decision. They shifted resources and attention toward their ballistic missile program. It was the one capability they believed could still hold the region at risk even after the damage to their nuclear infrastructure. New hardened missile storage bunkers were constructed. Existing facilities were reinforced with deeper layers of rock and additional concrete. Military planners believed that if the facilities were buried deeper and protected by stronger structures, they could reduce the effectiveness of future aerial strikes. In simple terms, they believed depth itself could become a defense. At the same time, diplomatic talks surrounding Iran's nuclear and missile programs began to collapse. By late 2025, the intelligence picture had become increasingly clear. Iran's missile infrastructure was expanding. It was becoming more fortified and more capable with each passing month. According to United States officials, the objective of this operation was straightforward: disable the infrastructure that supported Iran's missile capability and reduce the military threat those systems posed across the region. And on February 28, 2026, this operation began. Now, it helps to understand the aircraft that carried out that mission. The B-2 Spirit is not simply another military aircraft. It is the result of more than 4 decades of advanced engineering and classified research. And even today, it remains one of the most capable long-range strike platforms ever built. The aircraft traces its origins to the Advanced Technology Bomber program, launched in 1979 during the height of the Cold War. The goal was clear: develop an aircraft capable of penetrating the most sophisticated air defense systems in the world, reaching targets across intercontinental distances, and delivering a heavy payload without being detected. Northrop Grumman was selected to build the aircraft. The B-2 was publicly revealed in 1988 and conducted its first flight on July 17, 1989. The United States ultimately produced 21 aircraft. Today, 19 remain in active service, all based at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri under the 509th Bomb Wing. When research, development, and production costs are combined, each aircraft represents an investment of more than $2 billion. So how does an aircraft with a wingspan of 172 feet become so difficult to detect? The answer lies in 2 elements working together: shape and material. The B-2 uses a flying wing configuration. There is no vertical tail structure, no exposed engine housings, no sharp angles that would normally reflect radar energy back toward the transmitting radar. Instead, the entire aircraft is shaped so that incoming radar waves are scattered away from their source. The geometry itself functions as a stealth system. Covering that structure is a specialized outer layer made from radar-absorbing materials. These composites are designed to absorb electromagnetic energy rather than reflect it. As a result, an aircraft with a wingspan of more than 170 feet can appear on radar as something much smaller. The aircraft's 4 turbofan engines are buried deep inside the airframe. Their exhaust is routed through carefully designed channels that reduce both heat signature and acoustic signature before it reaches the outside air. This makes it significantly more difficult for infrared detection systems to track the aircraft. Every aspect of the design serves the same purpose: reduced the aircraft's visibility across multiple detection methods at the same time. That design is one of the reasons this operation unfolded the way it did. According to United States military officials, Iran's integrated air defense network did not successfully track the B-2 strike package during the mission. The aircraft were able to reach their target areas and deliver their munitions before leaving Iranian airspace. Now it is important to understand the weapons those aircraft carried. For this operation, the B-2 bombers carried 2,000-pound precision-guided munitions. The specific weapon was the Mark 84 general-purpose munition fitted with a Joint Direct Attack Munition Guidance Kit, commonly known as the GBU-31. The guidance kit combines a global positioning system receiver with an inertial navigation system mounted in the tail section of the munition. Together, these systems allow the weapon to guide itself toward a pre-programmed coordinate with extremely high accuracy. The system is designed to strike within roughly 13 meters of the intended point. In practical terms, that means the munition can reach a target from many miles away, through cloud cover, in darkness, and in almost any weather conditions. The B-2 carries up to 16 of these munitions inside 2 internal weapon bays. The weapons are mounted on rotary launcher systems and remain completely concealed inside the aircraft until the moment they are released. There are no external pylons and no exposed payloads. This is important because external weapons normally increase an aircraft's radar signature. By carrying everything internally, the B-2 maintains the same stealth profile, whether its weapon bays are full or empty. During the opening phase of this operation, 4 B-2 Spirit bombers departed Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and flew directly toward Iranian airspace. Their targets were hardened underground ballistic missile facilities. After completing the strike sequence, the aircraft turned west and began the long journey home. According to United States officials, Iranian air defense systems were unable to establish a targeting lock on the aircraft during the mission. Much of the attention surrounding the B-2 focuses on its engineering, but the human element behind these missions is often overlooked. What the crews executed on February 28, 2026, represents one of the most demanding endurance missions in modern military aviation. A round-trip flight from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to Iranian airspace and back covers more than 14,000 miles. The mission lasts approximately 37 continuous hours in the air. 2 pilots share a single cockpit. The crew compartment inside the B-2 is roughly the size of a small car. 2 seats positioned side by side, surrounded by avionics displays, flight management systems, and mission controls. For more than a day and a half, those 2 individuals manage one of the most complex aircraft ever built while flying across multiple continents and time zones. The aircraft does include limited provisions for long-duration missions. There is a small galley with basic food heating equipment. A compact lavatory is also installed. During the flight, the pilots rotate duties so that one flies the aircraft while the other attempts to rest. But rest is limited. There is no proper sleeping area, and true sleep is rare during missions of this length. For more than 30 hours, the crew must maintain constant situational awareness while operating under significant fatigue. A single navigation error, a systems failure, or a communication breakdown could compromise the entire mission. And then there is the refueling. A flight of more than 7,000 miles in one direction cannot be completed on a single fuel load. The B-2 carries roughly 167,000 pounds of internal fuel, an extraordinary capacity for any aircraft. Even so, an intercontinental strike mission requires multiple aerial refueling operations. The bombers rely on tanker aircraft such as the KC-135 Stratotanker and the KC-46 Pegasus. During this operation, dozens of these tanker aircraft were positioned across Europe and the Mediterranean to support the long-range flight. Each refueling takes place in mid-air at high altitude, often in darkness, with both aircraft traveling at hundreds of miles per hour while maintaining extremely precise formation. Without that airborne logistics network, missions of this distance would simply not be possible. Here is what aerial refueling at operational scale actually looks like. KC-135 positions itself ahead of the B-2 at altitude. The B-2 closes to within 50 to 60 feet at speeds exceeding 500 miles per hour. The tanker extends its refueling boom. The B-2 pilot makes micro-corrections to maintain precise position in 3 dimensions while both aircraft are flying at cruise speed. The fuel transfers. The boom retracts. The B-2 continues on. This entire process occurs multiple times per mission. Over the open ocean, in radio silence, in darkness, without a single communication that could break operational security. For this operation, this refueling chain extended across the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, an invisible logistical backbone that kept the strike package alive for the full 37-hour duration. United States Central Command noted that dozens of tanker aircraft supported the operation. The coordination required to pre-position that many tankers at the right altitudes and along the right corridors, on a timeline synchronized to the second without compromising the secrecy of the mission, is a logistical achievement as impressive as the strike itself. And when it was over, when the munitions had been delivered and the target struck, those B-2 crews turned west and flew 7,000 miles home to Missouri. The aircraft landed at Whiteman Air Force Base. The mission was complete. United States Central Command's assessment stated that more than 1,000 targets were struck in the first 24 hours of the operation. Iran's ballistic missile infrastructure, hardened and buried underground, was significantly disrupted. Here is what this operation actually proved, and it goes far beyond Iran. On February 28, 2026, the United States demonstrated one specific and irreversible capability to the world. There is no target, at any depth, behind any defensive grid, on any continent, that is completely beyond the reach of modern long-range military power. The B-2 Spirit can depart from Missouri, cross 2 oceans, penetrate one of the most sophisticated integrated air defense networks in the Middle East without triggering an alarm, strike hardened underground facilities that very few aircraft could reach, and return home without warning and without detection. That message was not received only in Tehran. It was noticed in Beijing, in Moscow, in Pyongyang, and in every capital where military planners have spent years and billions building underground facilities, based on the assumption that depth alone provides security. Modern long-range stealth strike capabilities challenge that assumption. United States defense officials later explained that the mission objective was focused and limited: reduce the missile threat, weaken military infrastructure, and prevent further escalation. The operation was not designed as an open-ended campaign. It was intended to demonstrate that critical military infrastructure could be reached and disrupted if necessary. Military officials also noted that operations of this scale require a very specific combination of capabilities: intercontinental range, full stealth, and the ability to deliver heavy precision-guided munitions against hardened targets. Very few aircraft in the world combine all 3. The B-2 Spirit remains one of them, and the United States operates 19 of these aircraft. There is also a deeper historical irony behind the aircraft itself. The B-2 Spirit was originally designed in 1979 to penetrate Soviet air defense networks during the Cold War. The conflict it was built for ended decades ago. The engineers who developed the aircraft could not have predicted that decades later it would be flying missions against underground missile infrastructure in the Middle East. But the aircraft endured. More than 40 years after its concept was first developed, the B-2 Spirit continues to represent one of the most capable long-range strike platforms ever built. A concept developed during the Cold War, an aircraft that has served for decades, and in February 2026 it remained one of the few machines capable of carrying out a mission of this scale. That is the lasting significance of this operation. If you want more deep-dive breakdowns on military operations, defense technology, and global strategy, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And let me ask you something. What do you think the long-term consequences of this operation will be for the balance of power in the Middle East? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.